Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
See, here's how it goes. You guys are out of practice. Some of you are maybe so new that this is your first family service ever. So the way it works is I say Shabbat Shalom, and then you say back to me the same exact words. Let's try it again. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, well, what a nice greeting from the congregation here at Temple Emeth. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth and to our family Shabbat service on the first Friday of the month. I woke up this morning, I looked at my watch. It said that it was September 31st, but I knew something was wrong because we had a family service planned for tonight. So there is no September 31st. It meant that today is October 1st. It's the family service on the first Friday of the month, and I'm so glad that you've joined us. We have several families here in the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary who have figured out a way to sit socially distant, and we're so glad that you're here. And we have several more people joining us by live stream this evening. So it's my pleasure to say Bruchim Habaim to you and to welcome you to our service on live stream. If you are watching us on live stream, then please take a moment right now to make sure that you have access to the Siddur. The Siddur that we use this evening for our family service is Mishkan Tefillah for Youth. And you can access this preferably on a second device by going to emeth.org/livestream and then scrolling down to where it says to access the Siddur prayer book. And you can click on the link that says Mishkan Tefillah for Youth. That will open up the Siddur in flipbook format. You'll be able to follow along with all the songs and prayers of our service on the very same pages. We also encourage you to help form bonds of virtual community if you're watching us on live stream. And the best way to do this is to post your name and your location perhaps, or maybe a Shabbat greeting into the chat or comment section of the live stream platform that you're using. Others will see that. They will know they are not alone when they watch us on live stream. They are part of a community that is staying safe and perhaps in all different parts of the country or the world as they watch us, but united together in Shabbat worship. And for those of you who are here in the sanctuary, well, I want to remind you that you need a copy of Mishkan Tefillah for Youth. It looks like this, and we don't keep them in the pews. We keep them on a little table right outside the doors to the sanctuary. So if you didn't get one on your way into the sanctuary, now is the perfect time to go get one for yourself, so you have it for the whole service. We begin our service this evening with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. And so it is my pleasure at this time to invite you to turn to page 4, where we find the Shabbat candle blessing, and is preceded by an opening reading. The honor of the blessings goes to Ali Wieselberg and Jason Hochstadt.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Oh, sorry. No problem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Our next Shabbat blessing is the Kiddush for Erev Shabbat, which you can find on page 6 of the Siddur, and it is also preceded by an English reading. We all rise for the Kiddush. Okay, right into the microphone. We're right here.
Like wine, Shabbat is sweet. We lift this cup to celebrate the love of family and the joy of living. We sing the Kiddush and taste the wine to remind us that Shabbat is a day of sweetness and love.
Okay, and you give us the one line right there. Sure.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen. Stay right here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho b'ava uv'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila le'mikrei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kitashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend.
Please be seated. The opening song of our family service may be found in Mishkan Tefillah for Youth on page 12 at the top of the page. Well, look, the words aren't translated there, so I will translate them for you so you know a little bit of what you're singing. The words mean, what a beautiful day this is. Shabbat Shalom, a Shabbat of peace. Please join us as together we sing Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Try that with me. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. We're gonna sing Shabbat Shalom. Ready? Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Try that part. Ready? Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
The next part of our service is the Baruch Hu. It is the announcement that it is time to pray, followed by the response that we as the Jewish people, we as a congregation, are ready to pray. After all, I hope that's why you came here into the sanctuary this evening. So we turn to page 22. Please rise for the Baruch Hu.
La
remain standing now as we turn to pages 34 and 35. They don't have page numbers, but you'll recognize that you're in the right place when you see a large letter shin. And if you look closely, that large letter shin is made up of 3 mezuzot, each of which has a small letter shin in it. And that letter shin stands for Shema. We join together in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. Vishinantam libanecha, vidibarta bam, vishivtecha beveitecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, uvishochbecha uvekumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, ve'ayu totafot beinenecha, uchtatam al mizuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Lema'an tizkiru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
The next song of our service is found on page 38. It is Mi Chamocha. It starts with the letter Mem, and we pretty much always sing it. I can't remember the last time at Temple Emeth, at least, we didn't sing Mi Chamocha with one melody or another, and I think that is represented in the artwork on the facing page. There is a large letter Mem, and inside that large letter Mem is 12 musical notes. Now, I think the reason the artist chose 12 is because there were 12 tribes of Israel, and they each sort of traveled as a tribe through the desert, but the 12 tribes traveled together, especially at the moment that our ancestors sang Mi Chamocha, that moment as they crossed through the Red Sea from slavery to freedom. A little bit later in our service, we're going to have a couple of different groups of our students sing. We have the 3rd and 4th graders, they've prepared a song. We have our junior choir, they've prepared a song. And I was looking at this illustration, I thought of you guys, our singers, because each one of you brings something different to the song. And when you're all together like this group of musical notes, the sound is especially sweet. So we can prepare for that moment later in our service by singing our hearts out right now on page 38 as we join in singing Mi Chamocha.
Ya bye 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 bye, ya bye 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 bim bam, ya bye 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 bye, ya bye 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 bim bam, ya bye bye bye, ya bye 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 bim bam, ya bye bye bye, ya bye 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 bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'elim adon. מקום אין חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
We continue now on page 42. You know, we've reached that time of the year where it is now dark right around the time that we started our service at 7:30. Even a few weeks ago, there was still a little bit of daylight at 7:30, but now it is dark at the time that we gather together for family service. And I point this out because Hashkivenu is a prayer that we really only say at nighttime. Hashkivenu is a prayer that reminds us that when it's dark outside, we think of the extra ways that God protects us until the sun rises again tomorrow. And so I hope that you'll join in singing with us Hashkivenu. It's a beautiful melody, and it asks God's protection as we lie down, that we may rise up again in the morning.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomerenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomerenu l'chaim. Ushmait Seitenu Uvaena Lechaim Ulshalom Me'ata Ve'ad Olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomerenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomerenu l'chaim.
We turn now in our Siddurim to page 98 for the Tefillah. Please rise if you are able for the Tefillah.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Agadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Karei Akol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ava, Melech Ozer, Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah.
We turn to page 103 and we read together in English. O God, as we remember all you do, we make this promise to try to be like you. We will work to raise up those who fall, heal those who are sick, free those who are in need. As your partners, we will support the poor, feed the hungry, house the homeless, befriend the lonely, and give hope to all people. We will be caring Jews. As you have helped us live better lives, we shall help others. We praise you, O God, who gives meaning to our lives. Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to everything. We turn the page and we continue reading in English. What is holiness? Reb Nachman taught that we reach out in 3 directions: up to God, out to other people, and into our own hearts. The secret is that all 3 directions are truly the same. When I reach out to another person, I find myself and God. When I find God, I find others and the true me. When I find myself, I reach God and other people. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. We turn now to page 114. It is customary that in every prayer service, we offer a prayer for peace. And so the version of the prayer for peace that we will offer this evening is at the top of page 114. I invite you to read with me in English. Grant true and lasting peace to your people Israel, for you are the ruler and source of all peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel with peace always, at every moment and in every hour. And at the bottom of the page, Baruch atah Adonai hamivarech et amo Yisrael ba shalom. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. We take a moment now for Tfilat Halev, the opportunity to offer to God the prayer of our hearts, and inspirational readings for this time are found on pages 116 and 117. Well, I mentioned before the Mi Chamocha that we're looking forward to hearing our religious school students share the gift of song with us. And so the first group that I'm going to call upon is our 3rd and 4th grade students. So I'd like to invite the 3rd and 4th graders to step forward and find your place here. We're going to help you find a good spot right on the steps where you can be seen by the live stream cameras and by your families, and we're going to set up the microphone so the people at home can hear you. And then I understand you have prepared Hine Matov for us. Okay, so kids, I need you on the stairs. You're too far back. So let's see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. So why don't we do 3 and 3? How about 1, 2, 3? Take 1 step down. Okay, and then you guys should be like 2 steps back. So take 1 step down right there. Good. And then would you do me a favor and take 2 steps up?
Good luck, B'Hatzlacha.
Okay.
Good luck.
Great. Is this on? Yeah. Okay, so let me take a moment to introduce the song. So our song this evening that the 3rd and 4th graders have prepared is called Hine Matov. It is a quote from the book of Psalms, which means how nice it is that brothers and sisters, that family members find an occasion to sit together. It's nice and it's pleasant, it's wonderful. And hey, that's what we've done here in the sanctuary. And so we now have the chance to affirm that in a musical way as our 3rd and 4th graders offer Hine Matov.
Shabbat
Thank you, and Yasher Koach to our third and fourth graders who were led by Maura Amanda Eastman. You may return to your seats, and your very proud parents and in some cases grandparents who have gathered to see you in person. So Yasher Koach is a Jewish phrase which means nice job or way to go, and it certainly is appropriate here. And by the way, all the students you saw plus some other students will be joining us on the bima later for our closing song. But in the meantime, I just want to take a look out. Oh, shouldn't do that. It was. Just want to double check. They're not. No, not you.
Amanda has October. That's Rachel.
Oh, now I understand. Okay. The folks who have the Aliyah, I'm pretty sure are not here unless I made a mistake and you think you're about to be called up for the Aliyah. All right, then it's David. All right. We continue now with our Torah service. Our Torah service is found in Mishkan Tefillah for Youth on page 121. This is our Torah. Its words are the same ones that our parents and grandparents read. In all times and at all places, its words never change. May our children and grandchildren and their children and grandchildren read its words as well. In this scroll is everything that has made the Jewish people special, from Mount Sinai until today. Torah teaches us love and justice, goodness and hope and freedom. Please rise for our Torah service.
Mitzion Teitzei Torah, Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah, Udvar Adonai Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah. Adonai iti uniramemo shema yachdav. Al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim.
Please be seated. Well, just a few days ago, on Monday night and Tuesday, we celebrated Simchat Torah. And Simchat Torah is the holiday where we finish reading the Torah at the end and we go back to the beginning. And so we are at the beginning of the Torah. And now the beginning of the Torah, the very, very beginning starts with a very large letter bet. If you think back to page 22 when we did the Baruch Hu, that had a large letter bet. And the Torah starts with a large letter bet. But I thought rather than reading for you the very first words of the Torah, instead I would read for you about the very first holiday in the Torah. Would any of our religious school students like to guess what the first holiday in the Torah is? I'll give you a hint. It's the holiday we're celebrating right now. Yes, Max. Shabbat is the first holiday in the Torah. It is also the first words, the description of it is the first words of the second chapter of the Torah. And that's what I'm going to share with you. And then I have a little story about Shabbat after that. So if you are here in the sanctuary and you'd like to follow along as I read from the Torah, then you can do so by turning in the Torah commentary books to page 20. And if you're at home and you have one of our revised Torah commentary books, you can do the same thing in your edition of the book by turning to page 22. And I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. And we'll call upon David Steiner to have the Aliyah. Okay, David, here's this.
Baruch hu et Adonai Havorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havorach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu asher bachar banu b'chol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Amen. Vayachulu hashamayim v'ha'aretz v'chol tziva'am. Vayechal Elohim b'yom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishbot b'yom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. Vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto ki vo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim lasot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayeu olam neta b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. At this time, our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare to offer a prayer for healing, which is found in Mishkan Tefillah for Youth on page 125. If you are thinking of someone in need of healing, you're seated here in the sanctuary. In just a moment, I'll ask you to share their name out loud or in your heart. And as we're doing that, if you are watching on live stream and you'd like to share the name of someone you're thinking of in need of healing, then you can do so by entering their name in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. Those in the sanctuary, I invite you to share the name of someone you're thinking of. As a congregation, we think of those members of our community and their loved ones whose names are scrolled on the screen. If you're watching at home, you'll see it on your computer screen. And here in the sanctuary, you can see the names of those we pray for on the TV screen in the corner of the sanctuary. We join together now in singing the Mishaberach.
May the
We continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah. Please rise for Hagba and Galila.
V'zot ha'Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All its supporters are happy. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it. All its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom.
Please be seated. In just a moment, I'm going to invite everyone with a birthday in the month of October to the Bema. Raise your hand if you have a birthday in the month of October. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. That's good to know. Now, sometimes I throw in, if you missed our September service, it was a holiday weekend. It's understandable if you missed it. It was a whole 5 weeks ago. How many people had a birthday in the month of September and weren't here to get a birthday blessing back in September? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, so with only 3 honorees, I think that I can invite you up and you can stand socially distant and be closer to the ark and yet far enough from one another that we can have a very nice blessing right here on the Bema. So I'd like to invite up our October birthday people. So yeah, we'll find our 6 feet. So there we go. Right in the middle, sure. Right there is good. Right there is good. Okay, please rise. If memory serves, when I got here some 18 years ago, only children came up on the Bema for a birthday blessing, and somehow, the adults started joining the children, and then the children started joining the adults, and now here we have an entire October birthday crew, all adults. Well, a blessing is a blessing, and you've made another trip around the sun, so you deserve it. So now what I'd like to say here, with the ark open in front of our Torahs and in the presence of your family and your community, is happy birthday and mazel tov. And may this be a time of blessing, a time of reflection, a time of celebration, and may you appreciate the presents that people may give you in wrapping paper or a gift bag, but also the presence of your loved ones and the presence of God. And so on this special occasion, Cantor Tillman and I would like to offer this blessing. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine down upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May God's Spirit lift you up, and may God give you shalom, the gift of peace, now and always. And let us say, Amen. So birthday celebrants, you get a celebratory lollipop as we close the ark, and we join together with Cantor Tillum, first in Hebrew and then in English. And this is the highlight of my month, listening to Thomas Dashio accompany
No pressure, Tom.
He's ready for the challenge. Accompany us in singing.
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday to, I don't know what's gonna happen, to you. Happy birthday, dear everyone. Happy birthday to you. Oh,
That was great, and we just reconnected the piano to the live stream, so they heard every note.
Tom.
You may be seated.
Happy birthday.
Pardon me, Arnie. Okay, well, you heard from the Torah the words that describe the very first Jewish holiday in the Torah. It is Shabbat. It is the reason we've gathered in the sanctuary this evening, and it is the subject of the story that I would like to share with you. So if you're watching on live stream, you will see our famous split screen, if I'm standing in the right spot. You'll see the pages of the book, and you'll see me reading the book. If you're here in the sanctuary, if I had a choice, I would sit closer to the cantor too. However, the words and the pictures are going to be on the screen over there. So if you want to move and be a little closer to the screen to see the words and the pictures, you may do that. There's plenty of room to stay socially distant. And the story that I'm going to read for you is called The Shabbat Box. It was written by Leslie Simpson and illustrated by Nicole Indenbosch. And it is the story of someone who lost something valuable and made the best out of a bad situation. Every Friday, someone got to take home the Shabbat box. It was a shoebox covered in velvet with Shabbat written in Hebrew letters. Inside, there were candlesticks, a Kiddush cup, and a challah cover. Each week, the teacher added fresh challah rolls with raisins. Everyone loved the box. There was only one problem. There was only one box. And so here is the classroom. On this side, you can see the contents of the Shabbat box. This side, you can see the teacher. And look, she must subscribe to the L'chaim Hebrew for Life curriculum because she's written the Hebrew on the chalkboard. It says Shabbat, no transliteration. The children will either learn it now or they will absorb it for later. And that teacher's giving them a good Hebrew foundation, just like we are doing at Temple Emeth. Oh, there's a big school bus. Let me read you what happens next. There were 14 kids in the class. There was Eli and Sarah and Noah and Rachel and Sophie and Zachary and Sam and Rose and Ruth and Ira and Naomi and Julia and Rafi and Miriam. The rule was one turn per customer, and that meant Ira would have to wait until winter for his turn. Now, it doesn't say why Ira was the 14th out of 14 kids to bring home the Shabbat box, but maybe the Zaretsky family has a theory as to why he was last. Any ideas, Zaretsky family? Oh, yes, perhaps he came very late in alphabetical order. The Zaretsky family, I'm sure, is familiar with that phenomenon. Maybe it was a lottery. It doesn't say. But anyway, Ira was last. So he knew that 14 weeks from the beginning of the school year would bring to winter, and he asked, "How long until winter?" he asked his mother. "After the leaves fall off the trees and the snow comes," she answered. And so while he's putting on his pajamas, he's dreaming of snow, because snow means it will be time for his turn in the Shabbat box. Now he's in bed. He's still thinking about it, though. He says, "How long will that be?" asked Ira. "About 14 weeks, said his mom. "How long is 14 weeks, he asked. "About 98 sleeps, his mom explained. 98 sleeps? That feels like forever, said Ira. After many, many sleeps, winter arrived, and it was finally Ira's turn. He put the Shabbat box in his knapsack and started walking home. But that Friday afternoon, there was a bad snowstorm. The wind whipped his face. His eyes were so cold they felt like popsicles. His feet got soaked from snow falling into his boots. And there you can see the terrible snowstorm that he had to walk home in. When he finally made it home, he was shivering. Inside, the air was warm. His dad was making honey chicken. There was pea soup with noodles bubbling on the stove. He could smell a chocolate cake baking in the oven. Ira took off his knapsack. In the storm, the flaps had opened and the Shabbat box had fallen out. His lips trembled. He began to cry. "What's wrong?" asked his dad. "The Shabbat box is gone," he sobbed. "What can we do?" So I've lost valuable things before. I can totally relate to what Ira was going through, especially because the Shabbat box wasn't even his. It belonged to his class, and he was only one of 14 people who was supposed to enjoy it. They went outside to look for it. Their eyes stung, and they couldn't see through the blowing snow. Cars were sliding, and people were slipping on the ice. "We'd better go back inside," his dad said. Ira began sobbing again. "There's only one Shabbat box, and I have lost it, and I'm going to be in trouble." He didn't want to eat the soup or the chicken or even the chocolate cake. "How do you think we can solve this?" his mother asked. Ira thought. He thought so much his head hurt. He felt miserable. And there he is at the dinner table, not even wanting to eat his chocolate cake. He was so upset. His mom looks pretty wise, though. I think that with her help, he might be able to find a solution. Saturday afternoon, he was lying on his bed. He saw the empty box from his new snow boots. "I know what I'm going to do," he whispered to his stuffed animals. "I will make a new Shabbat box. It will be a surprise." After Havdalah is the ceremony that ends Shabbat, he put a "Do Not Enter" sign on his bedroom door. He took his art kit and big camping flashlight down from his closet. He pulled out the box. He decorated it with purple velvet and shiny sparkles. He turned his plasticine snakes into candlesticks. I don't know if you can see this. Do you see that he's turned a snake into a candlestick? He's got another one in his hand, ready to turn it. I've never seen, until I read the story, I'd never seen a snake candlestick, but, he was in a fit of creativity, and I think that's pretty amazing. He made a memory game with pictures of challahs, candlesticks, wine cups, and people singing. He painted grapes on his water cup and turned it into a Kiddush cup. He painted his pillowcase and turned it into a giant challah cover. He stayed up all night painting, pasting, and designing everything. He worked by flashlight under the covers of his bed. By the time he went to sleep, it was almost morning. On Sunday, he put lollipops and taffy and hard candies and chocolates into the box because Shabbat should be sweet. He wrapped the box in plastic in case it fell into a snowbank again. Monday was his turn for show and tell. As he unwrapped the box, kids gathered around him. And there are all 14 kids and the teacher, and the first thing they were going to notice is that was not the Shabbat box that they had seen last week. He told them the story of how he lost the box in the snow and how he tried to find it. He told them how upset he was, but he left out the part about crying because he didn't want them to think he was a baby. Then he told them how to make a new Shabbat box for the class. He took a deep breath. "I hope you like it," Ira said. He opened the lid. Everyone peered inside. All the kids were jumping up and down, saying they wanted to take Ira's box home and eat the sweets and play the memory game and try out the cool candlesticks. "I have something for show and tell too," said the teacher. "But show and tell is for kids," Rachel protested. "Last Friday, the day of the storm, I forgot my mittens," the teacher explained. "So I went back to school to look for them because my hands were freezing. I saw something peeking out of the snow." She took a slightly crumpled box out of the cupboard. It was the Shabbat box. "The bad news is the challah rolls were soggy," the teacher said. "But the good news is that the box dried. Now we have 2 Shabbat boxes," said Ira. "Only 49 more sleeps until my next turn." And that is the story of the Shabbat box. I hope you enjoyed it, as together we are celebrating Shabbat, the first holiday we read about in the Torah. We are going to continue our service now with the Aleinu. And so we turn in Mishkan Tefillah for Youth to page 130. Please rise for the Aleinu. We remain standing as we turn to page 132 for a reading to introduce the Mourner's Kaddish. As our service ends, we think about people whose lives have ended. Some of them we knew and they were very special to us. We loved them and we missed them very much. Others we did not know, but we honored them as well. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning. Betty Beaver, remembered by David and Karen Duguid, and Mark Klausner, a member of Temple Emeth and cousin of Susan Klausner. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits occurred this week: Rebecca Auerbach, Marion S. Becker, Joseph Brody, Ruth Mate Conford, Shirley Etzen, Isidore Foyer, Leon Fields, Jerry Fink, Helen Ginsberg, Norma Goldfinger, Matilda Handler, Julian Hyman, Jerome Klein, Nicholas Kunick, Elizabeth Labovitz, Nathan Lehman, Morris Leibowitz, Bertie Levy, Esther Loft, Carol Morris, Harold Pasval, Sheila Pilchick, Aaron Richards, Warren Ringler, Justin Rolfe, Peter Steiner, Fritz Stern, Marion Stern, Werner Stern, James Clinton Taylor, Harold Teitelbaum, Ethel Tobias, Adele Trope, Rose Uyghur, and Charles Wilson. And we remember the names of 6 of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust: Michael Friedenthal, Grigory Friedenthal, Basia Feldman, Pesia Frid, Chaim Lokshin, and Yosef Koken. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn now in our Sidurim to page 134, and we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, be'chayechon uvyomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam lomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechem ata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Arnie Graber, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our family Shabbat service. Our religious school will be remembering Mark Klausner and the wonderful impact he had on our young people at an age-appropriate memorial service this Sunday morning at 10:30 here in the sanctuary. We will be using our family service COVID protocols, which require masks and social distancing, but not vaccinations. We hope you'll join us when our series Movies That Mattered returns this Tuesday, October 5th, with The Boys from Brazil. The 1978 thriller stars Gregory Peck as Dr. Joseph Mengele, who is trying to clone a new Hitler. I hope that's not a spoiler. And Laurence Olivier as the Nazi hunter trying to stop him. Seating will be socially distanced and no refreshments will be served. Showtime is 7:30 p.m. This year's Rabbi Joshua Trachtenberg Memorial Lecture will welcome Professor Nancy Sinkoff of Rutgers University. Her topic will be How Enlightened Was Enlightenment Berlin? The talk is part of our One Book, One Synagogue program featuring And After the Fire, and will be given on Zoom on Sunday, October 10th at 11 a.m. Watch for details in your upcoming email. Our mini-university begins Tuesday, October 12th on Zoom. At 7:30 p.m., we'll have our peer-led class, Stories from a Jewish Perspective. Temple member Michael Goldberg will lead a discussion on Elisha by Ruth Calderon. This story was selected as part of our One Book, One Synagogue program. At 8:40, bring your recent copy of the Jewish Standard to the computer as Rabbi Serbu leads Cover Story, a discussion of this week's news from the Jewish world. The Zoom link for both classes will be included in the weekly email. Finally, the Social Action Committee's annual temple cleanup of Windsor Park, right across Windsor Road, right behind us, will take place on Sunday, October 17th. Children accompanied by adults are welcome to participate. Pre-registration isn't required. Just meet in front of the synagogue at 10:30 a.m. Thank you to this evening's volunteers in the live stream control room. Amanda Eastman and Dan Furshine are in the controls tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
I just want to add a couple of announcements for those of you who are here in the sanctuary. So first of all, we do have a kid-friendly oneg with individually wrapped goodies. So when our service is all over, you can take one of those goodies and go out into the courtyard. It's not especially warm, but it's dry out there. You can get some fresh air and double check with mom and dad, but you are allowed, according to the temple, it's okay to take your mask off while you're enjoying your outdoor goodies. So that's something for when the service is over. Also, grown-ups who are here, You didn't have to be vaccinated to attend the service because it's our family service. However, if you are vaccinated and you have your documentation with you and you want to show it to us, so you don't have to remember to show it to us at a later service when you might need it, you can show it to our greeter, Gary Richards. You can get the list back out, right? So you can show it to our greeter, Gary Richards. He will record it on our list of who's vaccinated, and you can even walk away with a souvenir, I'm vaccinated so I can come to Temple Emeth whenever I want bracelet. I think we've debuted them tonight. I haven't seen them yet. Hey, Gary's even, look, people are wearing them. That's great. So if you want one, just show your vaccination card to Gary and he will hook you up, as they say. All right, well, we are ready to have a closing song. I mentioned that earlier this week we celebrated Simchat Torah, which is a celebration of the Torah. Then earlier tonight we took out the Torah and we read the Torah's first holiday. And so it's only fitting that Eitz Chaim, our junior choir, would sing a song about the Torah. It's called Torah Li, which means the Torah is mine. And it's my pleasure now to call upon Cantor Tillum and our junior choir to offer our closing song.
Shabbat Shalom. We're very excited to sing, but we'll be honest. We haven't practiced this song since the first day of religious school, which is many holidays ago. So we're actually going to relearn it for a second now. And I have my trusty choir madricha. She is my junior choir assistant. She's there because I can't do that anymore and still get up. So Emma Foyer is going to help me out here, and we're going to rehear our Torah Li song. And then we're going to sing it nice and loud. I know they're all going to remember it once they hear it one time. Okay, here we go. Torah li, Torah li, Torah sheli. Do that. Torah li, Torah li, Torah sheli. Torah li, Torah li, Torah sheli. Torah li, Torah li, Torah sheli. Try that, ready, and Torah, Torah Sheli. Great, let's try it all together, here we go. Torah li, Torah li, Torah Sheli. Torah li, Torah li, Torah Sheli. Torah, Torah Sheli. Good, now we're going to dance with the Torah, ready? Dance with the Torah and sing out a song. Dance with the Torah and sing all day long. Torah Sheli. Good, let's hear the Torah Li once more real loud. Torah Li, Torah Li, Torah Sheli. Torah Li, Torah Li, Torah Sheli. Torah Sheli. Just repeat the last few words. Torah, Torah Sheli. That was beautiful. Great job. Thanks, guys. That was great. Okay, go sit with your families. Very nice.
Thank you so much to the sweet singers of Eitz Chaim. That was fabulous. And you can reward yourself with a sweet treat at the Oneg in just a minute. I did want to offer one other announcement. And while I'm offering that, if you've been watching us on live stream, you can post one last greeting, a Shabbat Shalom, a Yasher Koach to our choir. Perhaps you are a fan of or a relative of one of our young people who is singing. Go ahead and post a Yasher Koach to them by name. That would be a lot of fun to go home and see later. And while you're doing that, I will offer this one last announcement. Torah study will be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., as it always is. We had done a little experiment to see if some people could come to the temple and other people could do Torah study on Zoom. The experiment didn't really work. So everybody is invited to participate in Torah study on Zoom only tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. The link is in your weekly email as always. And then we will end by 10, and we hope you'll join us here at 10:30. You will have a half-hour break if you'd like to join us in person for services, which will begin at 10:30 tomorrow morning. So wanted to make sure everyone knew about that and nobody came to the temple too early. Well, we have reached the end of our service. So if you are at home, you are sharing your Mikdash Ma'at, your miniature sanctuary, with someone else, you can turn to them right now. Here in our Mikdash Mamash, our communal sanctuary, our sacred space, there are plenty of people to look to as we conclude our service by looking to one another and saying, Shabbat Shalom.